Hello YouTube, in this tutorial we will talk about functions with arguments. As we said in the last tutorial about functions, there are two basic types, and I'm just using here generic names like normal ones. Normal ones will have just brackets and nothing in them, and they will do specific job. And they are upgraded ones or special ones or complicated ones. Okay, and they can grab one argument, and also you can have multiple arguments, okay, to do some operations on them. But please remember, when you're dealing with different arguments, you need to say, you need to use specific abstract symbol for them. So you cannot just say this, okay, it's stupid, it's cryptic and confusing. So use different symbols for specific arguments, okay. So yeah, that's kind of theoretical background. Let me create one function, and the task will be, for example, to just multiply number, but that same number, like name will be double, okay. And we will not use x here because x is the same as multiplication symbol in this simple case, so I will just say number 1, okay. And the rest of it is pretty much the same as with normal functions. So you will say print and then some information to user like result of multiplication is number 1 times number 1, and that's pretty much it. So it is not just enough to have function, you need to actually use it, okay. And we need to paste something here. So normally, because we are doing multiplication, we will paste here number, and result will be 25, and that's fine. So some people will say, well, what's the big deal? I mean, why don't we write for every individual case individual functions? Well, that's the very nonsensical, because the purpose of function is to encompass all possible situation, like a generic solution, generic machine. So when you need specific case, you will use function that will solve that issue or problem, but you will not create function for all possible scenarios, okay, because then you will need millions of functions with millions of different names, and then you need to remember them and put them somewhere. So that's why we need the functions. They're like a dedicated workers or in your imaginary factory, right? So next thing, we are programmers and this is our source code, and we know that this function do multiplication. But what if we share this with someone who doesn't know that well programming? And what if that person say, well, let's multiply 5, which will be string. So the result will be pretty much nothing. Can't multiply sequence by non-integer of type string, which is generic error kinda, and that means pay attention about the data types you are passing to functions with arguments. So there is two options here. The one option, which is not that good, is for every individual situation to put, for example, integer here, okay, and then result will be fine. But you don't want to type that for every individual case you have. So you want to solve that on more strategic level, and that means put that data type conversion into your actual function definition in a function. So you will say something like integer, so you are transferring that something which is here into integer, and that's it. It's the moment when this is executed, this num1 is treated as integer. It's carved in stone, and from now on it will be used just like a whole number, okay, integer. And now it's not important because we have string, because this is a string, there is a single quotes, there are double quotes, whatever. Now the result will be accurate, 25, okay. And even better solution if you're doing some kind of precision work is just to use floats, okay. Now some people will say, well, can I solve this somewhere here? Well, let's see, can we do that actually? So yeah, let's type here float, okay, So you are trying here to solve this just in one place, like, can you do that? So let's actually remove this solution and let's see what's gonna happen. Will that work? And result will be error, invalid syntax. So don't mess around with data types here, because this is the place just to grab arguments, and then when you grab them, then do something with them down there. So this is just the state arguments, okay? The simplest possible way to state them here. So don't complicate your life, right? Okay, next thing, functions with more arguments. For example, we will have number 1, number 2, and let's say we will use some string, because we can do that. Now this will be multiplication of one number, and let's actually multiply number 1 with number 2. Okay, so we can do that, and down there we will print that third argument, that string. So actual text is, and then you will just say string. Now I'm just using here string like a word, but you can use whatever you like. You can use blah 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 or whatever. So let's actually use that, blah blah blah, and this is kind of hard to type, blah blah blah. Try that, type fast. So now when we try to do stuff, we will run into error, because this function is missing 2 arguments and they are required to operate correctly. So you cannot just put as much as you can arguments, like one day you have 1 argument, tomorrow you have 5 or something else. So if there is a 3 argument here, you must state them exactly like 3 times. I mean, not 3 times, but 3 different arguments. So the first number will be 5, and then comma, because there is a comma here and here, so that's how you delimit the thing. And then the second number will be 10, and the actual string will be something, I don't know, I'm not creative. So TLS, and result is name blah blah is not defined, blah blah. Yeah, I told you so. So I'll just go with string. Man, why I do complicated my life for always? I mean complicate. So there you go, that works. The reason why I was evading this string, because that's so common thing. So people can mix these things, mix meaning of these things. So general idea is use something that is clear here. So even when total beginners, when they see your source code, they will say, oh yeah, I understand that on first sight, right? So don't use blah blah blah, right? Now see this multiplication here. Well, we have hard-coded operation, but we can also extract that basically. Let me explain. Like result, and you know this probably up till now, number 1 times number 2, and then you will not use this operation here directly, you will use it indirectly using res. Okay, res, and then the thing will also work. So that's cool. So basically, why do you use this approach? Because if you need to change something, you will change that in one line of code. You don't need to go down there in the rest of the source code to mess around and create possible errors. So you will change one thing, and that those changes will propagate it all over the place at once. So that's basically a good approach to save yourself a little bit of headache and time. Okay, so I think almost 10 minutes. In the next tutorial, the objective will be, let me see, where is that piece of source code from last time? Oh, I deleted it. Anyway, I was thinking about creating function that will ping IPs, and you will set IP as argument, and not just IP, you will also set the number of packets. So I'm gonna do that in the next tutorial. We also need to learn that. It's a cool thing to do. So anyway, I'm just gonna shut up, and as always, thank you for watching, for support and subscription, and see you next tutorial.